all by myself. Don't wanna be all by myself. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, the podcast where Matt and Todd go see a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater, and then we talk about it right after the movie from Matt's car. But that's not happening today. Welcome to our first quarantine special of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies. I am Todd Domer.
That's right. I'm Matt Malloy, and we are practicing good social distancing. Todd is at his house, I am at my house, and we are recording over a telephone call. Can you imagine the technology involved with this?
So much intense technology.
Yes. Well, yes. So we decided to for this episode, we both watched a movie independently. So a little bit of our format is thrown off by not having a movie theater to go to, but I think we can still talk about the movie that we watched and give our reactions, and that's what we'll do in this episode. So the movie that we saw is called Outbreak. It's a few years old, 1995, I think.
That sounds right.
Yeah. So main stars are Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo. There's a lot of people in this, kind of peripherally. There's Morgan Freeman plays a general. Donald Sutherland is in it, playing a general above that general. And there's a young Cuba Gooding Jr. in this as well.
Yes.
And
Kevin Spacey, but
true.
We don't need to talk about Kevin Spacey anymore.
Kevin Spacey is in it, as well as Patrick Dempsey.
Yes.
Who is in it very briefly.
Yes.
Okay, so what is Outbreak about? This movie is about a virus that is, I guess, starts in Africa and is transmitted to the United States via a monkey, and there are several places that have kind of outbreaks of a pretty bad virus where people die pretty quickly from it.
The deadly Matabu virus.
Yes.
I believe it's what it's called.
Agree. And so then it kind of comes down to everybody's dead. Well, not everybody's dead in America. It's not that kind of thing. But everybody outside of this one town who has the virus is dead. So really the only place the virus is active is in this one town in California. And so the military is there, and they've got everything blocked off. And Dustin Hoffman and his ex-wife, Rene Russo, in the movie, like their characters were married and then divorced. They are both infectious disease specialists, and they're there with their teams trying to kind of fix things and get some kind of way for people to be cured from this virus. And then there's also this kind of backstory about what did the military know about this virus before it was discovered, and was it like some kind of military weapon, like a biological weapon. So there's that sort of backstory going on in here too. So I think that's a good summary with no spoilers. If you haven't seen this movie from 1995, I won't spoil it for you.
Oh, that was going to be my question, was how spoilerific are we going to be here? No spoilers, or?
I think we should, in spite of the allowances we must make for quarantine, I think we should still try to be spoiler-free.
Okay, I can do that.
Great. So, what did you think of Outbreak? This may have not been the first time that you've seen it. It was not the first time that I've seen it, but the first time in a good number of years.
Yeah, definitely the first time in a while. I have seen it before. And my first thought right off the bat was this was probably a bad idea to watch this movie during this time, because there are some strong similarities to what's happening now. as what happening now versus what's happening in the movie, and they're very similar. Obviously, it's on the movie's on a much grander scale, as in like the virus kills people like within like I think it's like within like 5 hours or something in the movie. But
yeah, I think it's within 24 hours of catching it.
right.
People are dying.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot of similarities here of like kind of government covering up stuff and people being told to shelter in place, and then people kind of somewhat rioting because they're being told to shelter in place and they're not told the whole information. And Dustin Hoffman's character seems like the only character who truly cares and is working extremely hard to do anything. Like, and I don't. It's such a weird portrayal to me because everyone else is like kind of super relaxed in the movie. Sometimes they get a little serious, but then Dustin Hoffman is serious the whole time. Like from the moment he first sees the virus in Africa, he's like, "This is the deadliest they've ever seen. This is a world ender." And from there, it's like he's off to the races as far as like every scene he's yelling at someone, every scene he's giving a passionate speech or something like. But then everyone else is like slightly calm about it, definitely not taking it as serious. And it's just it was a weird thing to me that until, almost maybe the 3/4 point of the movie, everyone was not taking this as seriously as it needed to be. But, yeah. So that's just a side point of like the movie just kind of really freaked me out because of everything that's happening right now. I regret suggesting watching this movie, but yeah, everyone does a good job as far as the acting goes. I think there are scenes where Dustin Hoffman goes a little too far. Like, I mean, he just like is so 0 to 60 in so many scenes that it's just like really hard to follow him at times. But he's just like he really gave a passionate performance, but it's just like, I don't know, maybe it was like too much. He needed to throttle back at times because eventually I just got tired of him yelling, which is like kind of what he does through a lot of the movie. And then Kevin Spacey plays the kind of like comic relief stuff, which is kind of weird for a movie like this. And I think Cuba Gooding Jr. is just the fresh-eyed, kind of straight out of, I don't know, school or virus school or whatever you go to learn about this kind of stuff if you're in the Army. And then Morgan Freeman and Donald Sutherland are kind of like the higher-ups of the Army. You find the cover-up from them. So everyone does a good job in their place. It's kind of like it's like all the information in the movie as the viewer, but then everyone else is like, it's like kind of like a mystery going on. Like they got to figure out how it came and who's got it, who's the host and stuff like that. So it's definitely an intense movie with plenty of intense scenes. And without getting into any kind of spoilers, I think it's definitely worth a watch if you've never seen it. But maybe don't watch it right now. Wait till this time in our lives has gotten a little bit better, I think, and then watch it. That's kind of I think that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well, I would say this about when to watch it. If you are feeling freaked out by what's going on in the world, and certainly many people are, and that's totally fine, yes, I would agree, don't watch it. If you are feeling like pretty safe and secure what's going on in spite of what's going on in the world, and you're in for like, if this isn't going to trigger feelings in you that are gonna make you feel panicky, I think it's a decent one to watch. And I guess that's kind of what you're saying too, Todd. But So how did I feel about the movie? I liked it. I did think everyone gave a good performance. There was an awful lot of helicopters in this movie. If there was a theme other than terrible virus, the second theme was maybe helicopters taking off and landing. Yes. There were many helicopters taking off, landing, flying around, watching things.
They had a very big helicopter budget.
Yeah. There's even a helicopter chase scene, which is not something I think I've ever really seen in a movie. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty gripping and well acted. Like I said, you've got your star power there, and I think they do a pretty good job of kind of keeping you on edge. Yeah, like Todd said, like you said, Todd, we have all the information, but it's just how are our characters going to get access to that information and figure things out, and will it happen in time before disaster strikes one way or another. So yeah, I would say certainly in normal circumstances, you haven't seen this one. It's kind of a genre defining, modern virus movie.
Sure.
I think it may have been the first one that kind of talked about like different levels of biohazard and stuff like that. I can't think of anything that was earlier than this. I mean, there have been other things that are like kind of plague movies, I think, but this might have been the first one that's pretty scientific in what it's trying to do.
Sure, so, yeah, definitely agree with that, where I really can't think of another movie like this. And then if you fast forward in time a little bit, then you start to get to the genre of like almost every virus movie that comes out, once you hit a certain period of time, is more about zombies or something, or more about like there's no one left on the world or whatever. Like those are the more, instead of where this story deals with, finding control, government responsibility to a virus or whatever, you start to get into, we talked about 28 Weeks Later, that kind of, genre of movies where, it's some form of monster comes out of virus mutation or whatever. So,
right. Yeah.
So, well, how many Mutabu monkeys would you give this job? Would you give this film?
Yes, it was a film. I would say I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it 3.9 Mutabu monkeys. I felt like this was a pretty strong effort, and it didn't really feel too dated at this point. I mean, we're a good 15, yes, 15 years after this came out, and I think it still holds up really well. And like I said, I think the acting is really good. So, yeah, I'm going to go with 3.9. And yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, I definitely echo what you're saying. It does not feel dated to me almost at all. Maybe in some of like, I can't remember if there were many special effects in it or anything like that, but that's the only point to me where you could say, oh, this movie's dated. But then other than that, it's pretty good in that area. I'm going to go like slightly above you to 4.0. And it's because of like, I would be probably around like a 3.8. But there's one specific reason why I'm going 4.0 is that it has one of the most memorable scenes in movie history to me that I just don't think I could ever forget. Which, without giving away too much, there's just a point where Dustin Hoffman's character is trying to talk down some other airplane pilots who are on their way to carry out a mission. And so he's in a helicopter coming towards them, and they've got a mission he's trying to stop. And for some reason, and it's still, I think the scene still holds up, but as a kid, when I first saw this movie, it's just like one of those scenes that never, like I can remember at any point. Like it's stuck in my head. And seeing it as an adult, I was like, that's still a really gripping, to me, well acted, very intense scene. So I'm gonna give it the old 4.0 for that. Little extra point number boost for memorability. No, for sticking with me. Let's just say that.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Well, so that will wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies, where we watched Outbreak, an older film, but we're giving our gut reactions here via the telephone, and I think we would both agree this is a good movie, and we rated it accordingly at an average rating of 2.95 Utabu monkeys.
3.95.
Oh yes, excuse me. I misspoke.
That's okay.
3.95. Yes. So watch it if you feel like you can handle virus time in this time of viruses in the world. Otherwise, you can wait till later, or you can reflect fondly if you remember that you saw it before.
Sure.
But that'll wrap it up for this episode. Thanks for listening.
Maybe we'll come up with different ways for this to sound better, and it's not just you on the phone. Maybe. There's no promises to that, though.
Right.
So
we will try to continue to update and adapt our technologies.
Yes. Hopefully you still listen, even though we don't sound as crisp and good. But you come for what we have to say, and you love what we talk about, not how we sound.
Yes. We all have to make sacrifices in this time of sacrifice.
So true. All right. Da 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 da.
Da da
Da da da.
da da.